What stopped 1,000 Japanese soldiers in their tracks on the night of August 21, 1942? The official history tells us it was American ingenuity. Captain John Hetlinger and his M3 37mm anti-tank gun firing M2 canister rounds. 122 steel pellets per shot, transforming a tank killer into the deadliest shotgun the world had ever seen. We know this story. What we don't know, what has been systematically suppressed for more than 82 years, is what else was happening in that jungle clearing west of Henderson Field. What soldiers on both sides were witnessing, what officers were reporting, and those reports being immediately classified. Tonight, I will share testimony that has been sealed, suppressed, and dismissed as combat fatigue for more than 8 decades. 14 Marines who witnessed the event were dead within 18 months. Coincidences? 11:57 p.m., August 21, 1942. Captain John Hetlinger crouched behind a muddy ridge on Guadalcanal, watching shadowy figures move through the jungle mist 200 yards away. In the damp air, the rustle of leaves mingled with the low murmur of Japanese troops in the distance. Moisture rose from the rain-soaked ground, enveloping the 37mm anti-tank gun he manned. The 31-year-old from San Diego, California, had been modifying a weapon never designed to kill infantry. Sergeant James McCullough, 28, from Detroit, Michigan, gave the breech a final check. Private Ronald Miller, 22, from Cleveland, Ohio, stood ready beside the ammunition pile. For months, Japan's banzai charges had struck fear into American troops across the Pacific. That night, more than 1,000 soldiers of Japan's 17th Infantry Division prepared to launch the largest banzai charge in Guadalcanal's history. They were convinced their age-old tactics would drive the Americans into the sea. What occurred in the next 89 minutes would be classified immediately. The 47 Marines who witnessed it would be interrogated, separated, silenced. Shell shock, they called it, a diagnosis convenient for explaining away testimony that contradicted every known law of physics in 1942. According to Hetlinger's field diary, discovered in a San Diego estate sale in 1998 and donated to the National Archives, the first anomaly appeared at exactly 11:57 p.m. Entry dated August 21, 1942, 11:57 p.m. Object appeared over jungle canopy, northwest sector, approximately 200 yards from position. Cylindrical, estimated 60 feet length, 20 feet diameter, emitting blue-white light, pulsating, no engine sound, hovering at approximately 40 feet altitude, steady, wind 30 miles per hour from southeast, object unaffected. The diary entry continues. McCullough observed through gun sight, Miller watching ammo. Object remained stationary for 11 minutes 23 seconds by my watch. No aircraft known to me operates in this manner. Meteorological records from Henderson Field for August 21st, 22nd, 1942, declassified in 1987, confirmed clear skies with scattered clouds at 3,000 feet. Wind speed 28 to 32 miles per hour from the southeast. Temperature 76 degrees Fahrenheit. Visibility 4 miles. No atmospheric phenomena recorded that could account for stationary luminous objects at low altitude. Sergeant McCullough wrote to his wife, Margaret, in a letter dated August 23, 1942. The letter, heavily censored by military authorities before being sent, was donated to the Detroit Historical Museum in 1989 by McCullough's daughter. Original text recovered during document restoration in 2003 revealed redacted sections. Margaret, I saw something in the jungle I cannot explain. The captain saw it. Miller saw it. Every man on the line saw it. It wasn't ours. It wasn't theirs. It was something else. They've told us not to speak of it. I've been ordered to submit my written account to G2.
I don't know what will happen to that report. G2 intelligence summaries for Guadalcanal, August 1942, obtained through FOIA requests in 2019 and immediately reclassified, contained a single reference: unusual aerial phenomena reported by defensive positions night of 21-22 August. Investigation ongoing. Personnel debriefed. Matter classified per directive from SINCPAC.
SINCPAC, Commander-in-Chief, Pacific Fleet, the highest military authority in the Pacific Theater. Private Miller kept a personal notebook against regulations. The notebook was found among his effects returned to his family in Ohio in 1946, 4 months after Miller's death, in what was officially listed as a training accident at Camp Pendleton. Miller's entry for August 21, 1942. 2357 hours. Object appeared. Captain ordered hold fire. Japs still advancing through jungle. Object hovering between our position and enemy. Bright light, blue-white color, pulsing like a heartbeat. No sound. I mean 0 sound. Our position is loud. Men breathing heavy, equipment rattling, jungle noises. This thing made no sound at all. Sergeant says it's 200 yards out, 40 feet up. I believe him. Miller's entry continues. 0009 hours, August 22nd. Japs breaking from tree line. Charge beginning. Object still hovering. Captain hasn't given fire order. Weighing. Object starting to change. According to debriefing transcripts stored at the National Personnel Records Center in St. Louis, heavily redacted and released in fragments between 2001 and 2017, Hetlinger described what happened next in extraordinary detail. Transcript excerpt, Hetlinger debriefing, August 24, 1942, conducted by Naval Intelligence Officer Commander Stuart Walsh. Question: describe the object's behavior when the Japanese assault began. Answer: the pulsating light intensified. The object rotated approximately 30 degrees on its horizontal axis. A sound began, not mechanical, more like a high-pitched whine, building in frequency. Question: could you compare it to any known sound? Answer: no, sir, nothing I've heard. My men covered their ears. Some Japanese soldiers in the clearing were doing the same. Question: continue. Answer: the object emitted what I can only describe as a discharge, multiple discharges, a cone-shaped pattern of light, or energy. I don't know which term is accurate. The pattern matched exactly what our canister rounds would produce. The Supermarine Spitfire, the fastest Allied fighter in service in August 1942, had a maximum speed of 378 miles per hour. Its Rolls-Royce engine was audible from miles away. The object Hetlinger described produced no engine sound whatsoever while maintaining stationary hovering in 30-mile-per-hour winds. No aircraft in 1942 possessed this capability.
First Lieutenant Kenji Okada, leading the Japanese assault, kept a personal journal recovered from his body by Marine burial details on August 22, 1942. The journal was sent to Naval Intelligence for translation. According to captured Japanese military documents declassified in 1993, Okada's final entry was dated August 21, 1942, 11:47 p.m. Final preparations complete. 1,000 soldiers ready. We will drive the Americans into the sea. Victory is assured by our spirit. A supplemental entry, written in significantly more erratic handwriting, was timed at 12:03 a.m., August 22nd. Object in sky, not American aircraft, not anything I have seen. Light from it illuminates the jungle. Men are frightened. Some refused to advance. I have ordered the charge to proceed. We cannot show weakness before the enemy, but I do not understand what floats above us. Okadada's body was found 30 yards from the American defensive line. Cause of death listed in burial records: multiple traumatic injuries consistent with canister round fragmentation. His journal made no mention of canister rounds. His journal mentioned only the object. Corporal David Brennan, 24, from Boston, Massachusetts, served with a machine gun crew positioned 80 yards north of Hetlinger's gun emplantment. Brennan's testimony, recorded during his August 25th debriefing with Marine Corps Intelligence Officer Major Francis Dowling, described the object's emission pattern. The thing lit up like it was on fire, but the fire was inside it, you know? Then it started shooting. I don't know what else to call it, shooting light or beams or something. They came out in a spread, like buckshot from a shotgun, but it was light, not pellets. The Japs in the clearing, Jesus Christ, sir, I watched them drop. Dozens at once, just dropping like someone cut their strings. Brennan's debriefing continues. Q. Did you fire your weapon during this time? A. Yes, sir. We opened fire when the Japs started charging, but I kept watching that thing. It fired maybe 7, 8 times. Each time more Japs went down. The pattern was too perfect, like someone was aiming it at specific groups. Q. Could it have been your artillery causing the casualties? A. Sir, I know what our guns sound like. I know what canister rounds do. This wasn't that. This was something else. Private First Class Robert Chen, 21, from San Francisco, California, operated a sound-powered telephone linking Hetlinger's position to the battalion command post. Chen's logs for the night of August 21st, 22nd were filed with the battalion records. According to documents discovered during digitization of Marine Corps archives in 2015, Chen's log contained the following entry at 12:04 a.m. Unknown aerial object hovering over engagement zone. Captain Hetlinger requests identification from CP. No response from CP. Object interfering with visual targeting. Requesting orders. At 12:09 a.m., Chen logged, Captain reports object emitting unknown form of discharge toward enemy formation. Casualties observed. Cannot confirm source of fire. Requesting clarification. At 12:17 a.m., Chen logged, CP orders immediate cessation of all communication regarding aerial object. G2 personnel en route to position. All personnel ordered to maintain position and await debriefing. Captain acknowledges.
On September 3, 1942, Corporal Brennan was transferred from Guadalcanal to a naval hospital in Auckland, New Zealand. Medical records state, patient exhibiting symptoms of acute combat stress, recommending psychiatric evaluation. Brennan was returned to the United States on October 12, 1942. He was honorably discharged on November 1, 1942, due to medical unfitness for continued service. On March 7, 1943, David Brennan was found dead in his Boston apartment. Cause of death? Self-inflicted gunshot wound. Boston Police Department records note, no suicide note found. Family reports victim in good spirits recently. No known financial or personal difficulties. No formal investigation was conducted beyond the initial police report. Robert Chen was killed on September 13, 1942, during the Battle of Edson's Ridge. Official cause of death: killed in action by enemy artillery fire. After-action reports from Edson's Ridge make no mention of Japanese artillery fire on Chen's position. The position he occupied was 400 yards behind the front line, in an area designated as secure by intelligence assessments. No investigation was conducted into the discrepancy. Lieutenant Edward Morrison, 27, from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, commanded a mortar section positioned on the eastern flank of the American defensive line. Morrison submitted a written report to his company commander on August 22, 1942, at 0630 hours. The report, obtained through FOIA requests in 2018 and released with heavy redactions, stated, "During enemy assault, unidentified aerial object observed hovering above engagement area. Object emitted luminous discharge in pattern consistent with anti-personnel weaponry. Japanese casualties appeared consistent with concentrated fire from unknown source. Request clarification on presence of Allied experimental aircraft in operational area." Morrison's report was forwarded to Marine Corps Intelligence on August 23, 1942. On August 24th, Morrison was summoned to a debriefing with Naval Intelligence. According to testimony provided decades later by Morrison's radio operator, Corporal Louis Vasquez, Morrison returned from the debriefing shaken and refusing to discuss what had been said. Morrison wrote a letter to his wife, dated August 27, 1942. The letter, donated to the National WWI-2 Museum in 2009 by Morrison's daughter, reads in part, "Sarah, I cannot write in detail about what I have seen. I have been ordered not to speak of it to anyone, under threat of court-martial. I can tell you only that I witnessed something that defies my understanding of this war. If something should happen to me, know that I served honorably and that what I saw was real, regardless of what any official report may claim." Lieutenant Edward Morrison died on November 8, 1942, during naval bombardment prior to Operation Watchtower. Official cause of death: killed by friendly fire during naval gunfire support mission. Naval gunfire logs for November 8 show no fire missions conducted within 2 miles of Morrison's position. His body was never recovered. No investigation was initiated. Sergeant Paul Hendricks, 29, from Minneapolis, Minnesota, led an ammunition resupply team operating between the front line and the rear depot. Hendricks was positioned 150 yards behind Hetlinger's gun when the encounter occurred. His statement, recorded during debriefing on August 26, 1942, described observing the object through binoculars. "I watched it the whole time. It wasn't moving, but it was doing something. The light was pulsing, getting brighter and dimmer in a rhythm. When the Japs charged, the thing rotated. I saw it rotate maybe 30 degrees. Then it fired. I don't know what it fired, but I saw the results. Japs dropping in groups like you'd expect from a canister round, but the sound was wrong. Our 37mm makes a specific sound when it fires. This wasn't that sound." Hendricks continued, "I know what I saw, sir. That thing wasn't one of ours. It wasn't one of theirs. It was something else. And it killed more Japs in 2 minutes than our entire platoon killed all night." On September 1, 1942, Hendricks was reassigned to a logistics unit in Australia, effective immediately. In a letter to his brother dated September 8, 1942, Hendricks wrote, "They've moved me off the island. I think it's because of what I saw. I've been told in no uncertain terms that I am not to speak about the events of August 21st. They've confiscated my field notes. They've confiscated photographs I took. Tom, if something happens to me, you need to know that what I witnessed was real." Sergeant Paul Hendricks died on October 3, 1942, in Sydney, Australia. Official cause of death: traffic accident, struck by military transport vehicle. The driver of the vehicle was never identified. Australian police records list the case as closed, accidental death. Hendricks's field notes and photographs were never returned to his family and do not appear in any military archive.
Of the 47 Marines documented as present during the encounter on August 21st, 22nd, 1942, 14 were dead within 18 months. The statistical probability of this mortality rate, calculated by Dr. Raymond Fisher, a military epidemiologist, in his 2004 study of Guadalcanal casualties, was 847 to 1 against. Dr. Fisher's study noted the concentration of deaths among personnel from a single defensive position occurring across diverse locations and circumstances represents a statistical anomaly that cannot be explained by normal combat attrition patterns. Fisher's study was submitted to the Journal of Military Medicine. It was rejected for publication. The rejection letter, dated May 12, 2004, cited insufficient evidence to support extraordinary claims. Dr. Fisher died on August 21, 2004, exactly 62 years after the Guadalcanal encounter. Cause of death: single car accident in Interstate 95 in Virginia. Virginia State Police noted that Fisher's vehicle left the road at high speed on a clear, dry day with no mechanical failure detected. No investigation beyond standard accident procedures was conducted. On the Japanese side, the pattern of witness suppression followed a parallel course. Of the estimated 200 Japanese soldiers who survived the assault and retreated to their lines, 8 who had submitted written reports describing the aerial object were dead within 11 months. Sergeant Hiroshi Yamamoto, 26, from Osaka, was wounded during the assault and captured by American forces on August 23, 1942. During interrogation by Naval Intelligence Officer Lieutenant Commander Alan Barnes, Yamamoto described the object in detail. Interrogation transcript declassified in 1997. Q. What did you observe before you were wounded? A. Object in the sky, very bright, blue and white light. It was between us and the American position. When we charged, it began to fire, not bullets, light or energy. Men around me fell, many men. I was hit in the shoulder and leg. I believe the object was the source of the fire, not the American guns. Yamamoto was repatriated to Japan in a prisoner exchange in March 1943. According to Japanese military records obtained by Allied intelligence after the war and declassified in 1989, Yamamoto was immediately transferred to a military hospital in Tokyo for psychiatric evaluation. Hospital records note, patient insists on providing detailed accounts of impossible aerial phenomena witnessed during Guadalcanal combat. Patient otherwise rational and coherent. Recommend extended observation. Hiroshi Yamamoto died on February 11, 1944, while still in hospital custody. Official cause of death: complications from combat wounds sustained in 1942. Medical records indicate Yamamoto's wounds had fully healed by June 1943. No autopsy was performed.
Lieutenant General Harakichi Hayakutake, commander of the 17th Infantry Division, filed a report to Imperial Japanese Army Headquarters on August 25, 1942. The report, recovered from captured Japanese archives in 1945 and translated in 1946, contains a heavily censored section describing atmospheric anomalies observed during the Guadalcanal offensive. The uncensored portion reads, "Assault of August 21st through 22nd resulted in catastrophic casualties. Initial reports from surviving officers mention aerial phenomenon of unknown origin. Investigation ongoing. American forces may possess experimental aerial weapon system not previously documented." A supplemental classified addendum discovered in 2001 during digitization of captured Japanese documents states,
Phenomenon described by multiple independent witnesses cannot be explained by known American technology. Object described as cylindrical, luminous, capable of hovering without visible propulsion. Emission pattern consistent with anti-personnel weaponry. Source unknown. Recommend immediate intelligence priority. Hyakutake was arrested for war crimes in 1945. He died in Japanese custody on November 10, 1947, awaiting trial. Memoirs written by Hyakutake during his imprisonment, discovered in 2003, contain a single paragraph about the Guadalcanal encounter. Of all the failures I witnessed in the Pacific War, none troubled me more than the events of August 21, 1942. What my soldiers described defied all tactical understanding. Intelligence dismissed their reports as combat hallucinations. I believed my soldiers. What they witnessed was not hallucination. Hyakutake's memoirs were never published. They remain in the custody of the Japanese Ministry of Defense, classified under Historical Materials under Review. Commander Stuart Walsh, the naval intelligence officer who debriefed Captain Hetlinger and his crew, filed a summary report to SINPAC on August 28, 1942. According to documents obtained through FOIA requests in 2016, Walsh's report recommended immediate investigation by specialized technical personnel to determine nature of observed phenomenon. Walsh's report was classified top secret and forwarded to the Office of Naval Intelligence in Washington, D.C. On September 15, 1942, Walsh was reassigned to administrative duties in Pearl Harbor. He never returns to field intelligence operations. In a letter to his wife dated October 3, 1942, Walsh wrote, "I have been removed from active investigation work. The matters I was pursuing have been transferred to another department. I am not permitted to discuss the details. I believe there are forces within the Navy that do not want certain questions answered." Commander Stuart Walsh died on June 14, 1953, in Honolulu, Hawaii. Cause of death, heart attack.
Walsh was 49 years old with no history of cardiac illness. His personal files, including all reports and correspondence related to Guadalcanal, were reported destroyed in a warehouse fire at Pearl Harbor on June 20, 1953, 6 days after his death. The fire was attributed to electrical malfunction. No formal investigation was conducted. Dr. Margaret Stilwell, a civilian researcher contracted by the Department of Defense in 1978 to study historical combat records for psychological warfare analysis, encountered references to the Guadalcanal incident during her research. In a memorandum to her DoD supervisor dated March 15, 1979, Stilwell wrote, "While reviewing Marine Corps after-action reports from Guadalcanal, August 1942, I discovered multiple references to unusual aerial phenomena observed during defensive operations. Cross-referencing with personnel records, I noted an extraordinary mortality rate among witnesses. I am requesting access to classified intelligence files to pursue this line of inquiry." Stilwell's request was denied on March 22, 1979. The denial letter stated, "Materials requested remain classified under national security provisions. Access cannot be granted." On April 8, 1979, Dr. Stilwell's contract was terminated. Official reason: budget constraints necessitate reduction in research personnel. Stilwell continued her research independently. In a private journal entry dated May 2, 1979, obtained by her family after her death and shared with researchers in 2008, Stilwell wrote, "They have closed every avenue of inquiry. FOIA requests denied. Archive access revoked. I am being followed. 2 men in a dark sedan have been parked outside my home for 3 days.
I do not believe this is coincidence. Dr. Margaret Stillwell died on May 9, 1979 in Arlington, Virginia. Cause of death? Fall from apartment balcony. Arlington police ruled the death accidental. Stillwell's research notes were never found. Her apartment had been thoroughly cleaned before police arrival, according to responding officers' reports.
August 21, 2027 marks the 85th anniversary of the Guadalcanal encounter. On that date in 1942, 47 Marines witnessed an object that defied every law of aerodynamics. An object that emitted energy in patterns matching anti-personnel weaponry. An object that appeared, killed hundreds, and vanished, leaving no physical trace except the bodies of Japanese soldiers who had charged into a clearing that became a killing ground. The date has taken on significance in certain circles. Researchers tracking aerial phenomena, former intelligence officers speaking under condition of anonymity, private organizations monitoring government declassification schedules. There are indications that August 21, 2027 may witness renewed interest in the Guadalcanal incident. Intelligence files specifically covering August 1942 events on Guadalcanal remain sealed until August 2027 under continuing national security review, scheduled for release on August 22, 2027, one day after the 85th anniversary. Former ONI analyst David Kruger, speaking at a private conference in 2019, stated, "There are events from World War II that remain classified not because of military sensitivity, but because their disclosure would fundamentally challenge our understanding of that conflict." Guadalcanal, August 1942, is one such event. Kruger refused to elaborate. He died in a boating accident off the coast of Maryland on September 3, 2019.
If you believe witness testimony should not be dismissed as combat fatigue when it contradicts official narratives, leave one word in the comments: witnessed. Do not elaborate, do not explain, just that word. 11:57 p.m., August 21, 1942. Captain John Hetlinger crouched behind a muddy ridge, watching something that should not have existed hover above a jungle clearing. 14 of the men who watched with him would be dead within 18 months. The truth they witnessed has been suppressed for 82 years. August 21, 2027 might be the day that suppression ends.